In 1954, segregation supposedly ended. But the question is, why is it still going on in certain schools? Here are some opinions from Graham students.
I think segregation is bad because it separates two groups and makes them feel left out and very sad. They aren't getting equal access to materials.
So growing up, I grew up in a small rural town, so segregation didn't really happen because everybody went there, but I had like Native American friends, and they would tend to isolate because they lived like 30 miles away from town. So in the sense that they would be hard for them to stay to do sports after school and things like that, they would do it, but it was much harder for them than students who actually lived in town, which were mostly white kids. But it was more because of their situations and where people live. So I think the segregation affects people because they don't get to experience others, and oftentimes because of segregation, one group is seen as better than the other group, and that's very tough on both groups. Like the group that's lower obviously feels like they're not taken as seriously, they're not valued by society, and the higher group may not be comfortable with being in the higher group because they understand that it's not right, but people who aren't being thoughtful about it just like are used to being like on top, which isn't a healthy mindset to have.
So I've noticed that Graham, we're good about including everybody. I do see segregation though sometimes with math classes, and sometimes students make other students feel badly about the math class that they're placed in. I would say just being supportive and open to everybody should be in the proper class where they can succeed and where the speed of the class moves at the rhythm in which they learn.
Have you seen any forms of segregation at Graham?
Outside of math, I would say not really. It's a pretty inclusive campus, and being that we're pulling from 5 different elementary schools that feed into Graham, I think we have a really diverse and rich community.
Are trying to create laws that amount to Jim Crow 2.0, set by a Democratic former state lawmaker on March 14th. Kella Lewis, who was the mother of Jalen Lewis, told state lawmakers that it's terrifying to think about expanding the territory of the state-run law enforcement agency.
They say 7 out of 10 black children are segregated schools, which is 69.2, while only 12.9% of white children are the sum of the situation. There are studies that also show that 2x the amount of black children are likely to go high profit school, and only 31.3% of white children